All right, back on Gran Turismo 7 at D-Force Raceway with the Toyota Supra GT597, one of the most legendary cars in all of the Gran Turismo series. Here, the reason I chose this track is, apart from it being one of the most gorgeous tracks in the entire game, beautiful scenery, awesome track, blind spots, really challenging. That's the reason I chose this car. It's one of the best in the game, and right here we're going to go straight, cut into the corners, going into the slower section of the track, get to the left, get to the right. I am just straight milking it on the gears, going way too high, revving it way too high, but surprisingly, for it being a rear-wheel drive car, it's incredibly stable. I'm cutting through these, careful with the blind spot going into the tunnel here because it is pitch dark and I ran into the wall a couple times practicing. So going into the last section, hug the inside, go outside, inside, and then we're going to focus on our braking point here. The curb changes on the bridge, so right here, braking point right there when the pavement changes to a different color. Inside and then outside again. We're going to stay to the right side and we're going to go through the tunnels. We're going to go into the dark section, and this is just a straightaway. Go as straight as possible. Make sure you don't collide into the walls going into these tunnels, and then we're going into the hairpin turn, and it's all about the braking point. So 100 meters, brake hard right here. Focus completely on the exit, cut the curve a little bit, and then flat out. So, wow, that was a mouthful. This car is fantastic. Apart from it being such a legendary car in the game, it is definitely one of the best. It's definitely the most badass sounding car in the game. It's impressive. It's a gorgeous car. Really, really good time on this one. I was super happy with it. All right, back on Gran Turismo 7 with the second part of Deep Forest Raceway, this time with the Lexus RC F GT3 Prototype 16. Car with an unnecessarily long name, but super great car. The reason I chose this track is because, apart from it being beautiful scenery, it's a really challenging track. It's got straightaways, it's got tricky corners, it's got blind spots with tunnels. It's a really fun track. I really enjoy racing here. I really enjoy doing time trials here and just shaving away the times. As you can see here, I'm trying to cut the corners as much as I can, trying to slow down as little as possible. This part was always a little bit tricky because then you go into a blind tunnel, and then which leads to actually another blind tunnel. So right here we're going a little bit too wide, but careful going into here. Don't want to crash into the wall like I did pretty much right there. We're cutting the corners, trying to go into a straight line as much as possible and focusing on our braking point coming up on the bridge. Right when the pavement changes color, we're gonna start braking and then going into here. Try to hit the apex a little bit more. I unfortunately went a little bit too wide and went too slow right there. But now we're gonna try to make up some time for it and going on a straightaway. This car is great when it comes to acceleration. It's a great looking car, handles extremely well. No real downsides to it. I would say it is maybe a shade slower, but here focusing on the braking point, 100 meters going into the hairpin, which is the hardest part of this track. Went a little bit too wide right here, so let's try to focus on a good exit and pedal to the floor. Let's go as fast as possible, get to the right side, minimize track distance, and then we're gonna cut to the inside and try to get as great of a time as possible. This was insanely close. This car was only a tenth slower than the Supra, but it was amazing. This car was a lot of fun to drive, really, really challenging. And overall, the track was just perfect for these types of cars.